Well, good afternoon and welcome back to another live iThemes training event. My name is Nathan Ingram. I'm the host here at iThemes Training, and we are joined once again by our friend Diane Whidden. Diane is a business coach for healers and authors and creatives. She's based in Colorado, and after a number of years owning her own web design firm, she now has focused on helping her clients get clarity on their passion and purpose and then take meaningful action to grow their businesses, particularly online. Now, today, Diane is going to be talking about a subject that she is absolutely passionate about, and that is branding. We're looking forward to this one. Diane, welcome back to iThemes Training. It's great to have you again.
Thanks so much, Nathan. I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome. So, in a nutshell, Diane, why is it important that a person should really pay attention to branding when it comes to their business or service?
Well, if you really can't differentiate yourself from your competition, if you're not super clear on what makes you great and different and unique and exceptional, you're not really going to be able to thrive in your business. You're not going to be able to attract the customers who are really going to appreciate you. And you're going to be left with no result but to differentiate yourself on price, which is not what any of us wants.
Absolutely not. And that's a great answer. So we're going to have a lot of discussion today about branding. So again, if you're just joining us and go to webinar, one more invitation over to the chat room. It is located there at ithemes.com/chat. That's the best place to ask your questions as we go. It's always helpful if you preface your question by the word question in all uppercase. That way I'm sure to grab it. And we'll be stacking those up and giving those to Diane as we wrap up today. We'll also have some other resources there in the chat and the link to today's slides as we wrap up. And I think that's it for housekeeping details. Diane, let's talk about branding.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nathan. All right, great. Hi, everybody. So I probably say this every time that this is my favorite topic to talk about, but this is really the foundation of all of my work. So your differentiation strategy or your positioning strategy or whatever you want to call it, that piece of your brand strategy is like the core of your business, and it's the foundation that we build everything else on. So if you're not really super clear about what makes you different and unique and exceptional, you're just going to struggle in your business from the get-go. You're just setting yourself up for overwhelm. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm so excited. This is where I start with every client. So we're going to do a pretty deep dive into some stuff. And I want to start out with a story of the first time I hired a business coach. So this was maybe 13 or 14 years ago. I had just started. I had just gotten divorced, and I had this little hobby that I was doing of building websites just for fun. And I quickly realized that I was going to either have to turn this hobby into a real full-time gig, or I was going to have to go back to law school, which I did not want to do. I did not enjoy law school. So I'm like, okay, how do I take this little fun hobby that I've been doing in this small way and really ramp it up and make it a real business, right? Quote unquote, real business. And I didn't have a business background or a degree in business or marketing or anything. So I really felt like I was starting from ground zero. So I did what every good entrepreneur does. I set about to educate myself. I took a whole bunch of classes and did a whole bunch of research into marketing and business growth and being an entrepreneur and all that stuff. And I also hired a coach. Now, she charged me $500 a month to talk to her twice a month, which in my mind was unreal. I figured she had to be like an expert, right? Like she had to totally know what she was talking about. And I don't remember where I found her now. Must have been some sort of referral situation, but when I signed up to work with her, I just knew that all my problems were solved. She was going to tell me all the secrets. She was going to tell me everything I needed to know, and it was going to work out great, right? Money well spent. Well, the problem was I still, even after working with her for several months, I still kind of felt like I was doing everything wrong. I didn't feel like secure and solid in my marketing knowledge. And I was second guessing everything I was doing. And I kept feeling like there was the secret, that I didn't know. And her solution to everything that I was bringing to her was just do what I do. That was her solution. Just do what I do, use my strategy. And her strategy really seemed to be tell people that you know how to make money, sell them expensive packages, and then when they come in, tell them to tell their people that they know how to make money and sell them expensive packages. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. It's almost embarrassing I worked with her as long as I did. It was several months. And I told her at one point, I'm like, this seems a little bit like a pyramid scheme, you know? And she's like, no, 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 this is blogging, you know, this is the internet world. And I'm like, I don't think so. I've been doing this long enough that I am seeing people succeed wildly by really just doing things they enjoy. Like I'm watching people showing up and shining, and I want that secret, right? Like, I just don't want to copy your strategy that doesn't even sound like any fun to me. And, you know, I'm thinking about the $500 a month, and I'm like, man, like, you know, I think this is arbitrary. Like, I think you just decided to charge me $500 a month, right? So I'm starting to see like the emperor has no clothes, right? And I'm seeing what she does, and she doesn't know a lot about what I'm learning. And it's just like all of it just starts to disintegrate. And I realize that there's another answer out there somewhere, but I'm not sure what it is. So one of the things that this whole experience taught me is that, I mean, and obviously this applies to life as a whole, but this is a business course, so we're going to stick with business and being an entrepreneur. Business is rampant with promises of money. If only you do the right thing. The thing that you should be doing, the thing that everyone else is doing, the one thing that you're missing out on. And this is that fear-based marketing thing. There's such an atmosphere of lack in the entrepreneur world. It's like, if you don't have what you want, it's because you're missing out on the one big thing, the Instagram strategy or the key Facebook ad phrase, right? Like there's all this fear-based marketing around. You are missing the one big thing. And if only you give me the money, I will tell you the secret. So here's the thing. If it were that easy, we would all be there by now. We would all be making plenty of money. We would be working with clients we enjoy who appreciate us. We would be doing work that is easy and fun. We would be feeling the value of our contribution, and we would have enough of a break that we would be living balanced, fulfilling lives. My contention is it's just not that easy. There is no cure-all. There is no 6 steps to 6-figure success. It just doesn't exist. But it's really hard to get there and believe that, because overall, the problem is, oh, and my slide's off. Oh, well, that's all right. We've been taught to compromise ourselves in order to succeed and thrive. And I have seen this in everyone that I've worked with. I mean, big CEOs, little tiny businesses, solopreneurs, big corporate financiers, like people who are finance managers and money managers and stuff like that, accountants, and people who do really woo-woo, like creative work or spiritual work or whatever. I mean, this is just a part of the human condition, right? To think that there's something we have to do to torque ourselves or contort ourselves to get what it is that we really want. And this habitual shrinking and self-denial is so ingrained in us that we might not even know that we're doing it. But we all are. Many of us are. We're so used to looking outside ourselves for validation that we don't even know that we're not listening to and honoring ourselves. And this is especially true in business. There's just so little room for the values of fun and ease and balance and intuition and all that stuff. And business itself is rife with places of stress, because, as you know, it's one thing. I think this is why so many people are like, oh, I totally do what I love, but it's a hobby, right? Because as soon as you put a price tag on something, man, it can get distorted. So just being in business at all is stressful. And it makes us vulnerable to experts and the secret strategies that promise success. So here's the thing. My goal for this webinar, yay, this one's not off. Okay. It's the little successes that we champion in ourselves. So my goal for this webinar is not to give you the secret, the magic secret to branding and marketing, but it's to really help you get in touch with what you do that is different and probably therefore better than what everyone else is doing. Because when you're really clear and solid in what your genius is and what you love to do and what you offer that's amazing and unique, God, marketing becomes so much easier. Everything gets so much easier. I mean, first of all, your natural inclination, your natural ideas, and like, you know, I have clients, it's so funny. Everybody comes to me. It's one of my biggest things is clients want to know how to write copy. And one of the things that I have seen over and over and over again is that I can teach you copywriting formula all day long. if you are not in touch with your gifts, you're going to write a crappy sales page. But if you are really anchored in what you do that's awesome, you're going to write a sales page that pretty much naturally conforms to the copywriting formula just because you're bragging about how awesome you are. It's really interesting. Anyway, well, I did a copywriting course for iThemes, so you can go back and listen to that one. But anyway, so that when you are really clear on what you do that's awesome, that is what's going to set you apart and set you up for success. You know, it's so funny. I tell you, I have been doing this long enough now, and I've taught so many workshops, and like I've led a retreat, and like I've done so much in-person work that someone can come up to me, and just by the way that they give their elevator pitch, I can guess how much money they make, how well they're doing, how successful they are, because it's all about how they're holding their value. You ever watch somebody give an elevator pitch and they kind of crunch in a little bit, and they just feel insecure? You can just see that there's like a shake or a wobble to what they're saying. And somebody who's like really clear, they don't need an elevator formula. They don't need like the perfect pitch. They just show up and talk about what they do that's awesome because they are so clear about it that it's just super solid. They're unshakable in it. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to get you more into that place. So let's do a little bit of nuts and bolts first. I want to like talk a little bit about like what branding is and what marketing is. Some of this is going to be review, but just for those of you who might not have heard it, branding is your business's promise, right? That's really what we're talking about here. What are you promising to your right people? What are you promising to potential clients and customers? This is how well people understand your promise, and their trust that you'll be able to deliver on it is what drives their purchase every time. Those two pieces, how well they understand what you're promising to do and whether or not they believe you can actually do it. So this piece, your differentiation strategy, is all about establishing those two things. And mostly it's just it's creating a container for them, right? It's giving them an idea of what to expect from working with you. So they see you, they see an ad, they shake your hand at a networking event, or they read a blog, or they see a case study or whatever, and they're getting this picture, this idea of who you are and how you operate. And it's creating this expectation. So this is what branding does. And I've talked before, and I'll just touch on it really quickly. It includes like the standard things that you'd think, right? Logo, color scheme, blah, blah, blah. But it also includes things that you might not be thinking about, like just the way you stand, the way you speak, your pacing, the way you dress, like whether or not you swear in webinars, whatever it is that you do, whatever things about you that you bring, those become a part of your brand. And my shorthand for branding is that branding is really anything you repeatedly do. So it's a good idea to be as conscious about as much of it as possible. And I want to talk about all of that. So that's branding. And it's super, super, super important because of its relationship to marketing. Oh, there's all the notes that I just read to you. And it's super, super important when we're talking about marketing, because marketing is really branding in action, right? So brands are built or ruined every time a customer interacts with your brand, no matter what that is, right? And when those interactions provide a great experience, it creates loyalty and a desire to have a relationship with you. So the reason that I want to make this point is because people come to me for marketing more often than anything else. They want to grow their business, and they do the same thing I did, right? Like, I want to grow my business. I need marketing. I got to get marketing. I got to get myself out there. If I just get myself out there, people are going to buy it. Well, that's not true, right? We've all launched massive marketing campaigns and gotten crickets in response, right? That's not a marketing problem. That's a branding problem. So if you're marketing before you're really clear on what your brand is, you are wasting your time, money, and energy. It just, the foundation that you're working from is always, always, always your brand. It's your marketing accelerator. It's a decision-making shortcut for your buyers. I mean, these are all the things that branding is. So, but it's funny because nobody comes to me and is like, I need branding. My brand sucks. I got to work on my brand. Nobody says that. But when they come to me and they're really upset about marketing and they really want more marketing, 99% of the time, we start with the brand. Okay, cool. So, and then I just want to underline this word a little bit. So the relationship, that word that's bolded there, this is really what people are after. When they purchase from you, they are upping the level of relationship that they have with you. And it's any action, right? It's clicking on another blog post, or it's meeting you again, or it's whatever it is, but it's this desire to have a relationship with you. And that is what drives your brand. And I want you to really let that sink in, because this is what makes differentiation so important, right? It doesn't help to copy someone else's strategy. They don't want a relationship with someone else. If they did, they would go have the relationship with someone else. But if they're looking for you, if they're talking to you, if they're reading your blogs, or if they're reading your site, or if they're engaged with your stuff, they want to have that relationship with you. And you're going to lose those people if you're not really showing up and being who you are. I mean, this is like, and it's funny. If this sounds woo-woo to you, if this sounds a little touchy-feely, the reason this is the heart and soul of my work is because this is as practical as it gets. People will not seek you out if your message is confused. People will not continue to up the relationship and add more clicks to your website, or more purchases, or more whatever it is. They won't do those things if they really don't connect with your brand. And there is nothing that muddles a brand more than you trying to be something that you're not. And I want to say this is true, even if you're not a service-based business, right? Like I was trying to think of something that I have a really good relationship with that's a product. And like, I love Bare Minerals makeup. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's because it works really, really, really well, but it's also non-toxic. It doesn't have a lot of crap and plastic and horrible things in it. And it's so rare to kind of find that combination, because you can buy a lot of healthy makeup, but it doesn't really work all that well. And like, then it doesn't look good. And what's the point, you know? So every time I use Bare Minerals, I'm putting it on and I am affirming, like, oh, I love that this is healthy for me and it's good for me. And thank you guys so much for like creating this great product. And I love you guys. And like I'm having this relationship with their product every single time I'm using it, right? But that's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not going there and hanging out with people or talking to them. I'm just buying their products over and over and over again. So that's what I mean by relationship. And it's just in the context of you and your business, that's what makes it important for you to show up as what you are. So let's dive into the differentiation strategy. Now, here's the gig. This is a foundational marketing concept. I mean, obviously, this is like the core of marketing. This is a big deal. You'll hear people talk about it all the time. And I actually like the word brand drivers, because what sets you apart is actually what drives your brand through the marketplace. I kind of like that image. But you also will hear this called USP, or unique selling proposition, all the time, which is fine. It's a little dry. Whatever. But I don't like to call it that. So what I call it is your gifts, your genius, your talents, your skills, because that's really what we're talking about here. And the reason that this is important, like I said, as we were getting started, this is the moneymaker. If you can't differentiate yourself from your competition, you have no option but to offer the cheapest price, right? Obviously, right? If you're the same as everybody else, nobody's ever going to buy your stuff unless you're the cheapest option. And this creates a problem, right? Because then you attract people who are not actually interested in you and your genius. They're only interested in saving a buck. So you get people, it's so funny. I see people who do this, right? And they just attract more and more people who are cheapskates, and more people who will nickel and dime you to death. And like, this is the problem. This is the problem. If you are in that situation, if you're barely surviving and you're attracting people who don't appreciate you, they're nickel and diming you all the time, you are not valuing your gifts enough. That is why we start here. That is why we always build on this foundation. So your differentiation strategy gives you the leverage you need to charge what you are worth, right? So let's see, what else was I going to say about that? Okay, so yeah, so that's the key, right? This is the whole point. This is like the foundation of this whole webinar, and this is why I spend so much time on this. So how do we charge more and still get paid? We set ourselves apart from our competition. So one quick note, as we dive into strategy, I want to really set the tone here. What you want is important. And what you want is actually what's going to be driving this whole process. One of the ways that people get distorted around this whole idea is they spend time thinking about what other people want. What do other people want? What's going to sell? What's going to be successful out in the world? That's not a useless exercise, but that's not where we begin. That's not where we start. So my guess is that you became an entrepreneur because you wanted certain freedoms. So like definitely freedom maybe to set your own schedule or freedom to work in the way that serves you best. But basically you wanted freedom to do what you wanted to do. This last part is the key to great marketing and business structure. What you actually want is a roadmap to your best life. I can't emphasize that enough. I want to like all caps, the whole thing in all caps. I actually believe that what you really want to do, what you really enjoy, is the key to like building a great business, a great successful business. Trust that if you really love to do it, people are out there looking for it. You've heard the phrase, what you're seeking is seeking you, right? Right now, people are looking for your special blend of genius and talent, but they can't find it because you're either not providing it or you're not broadcasting that you are. So they're settling for someone else. Remember, the universe wants you to succeed and be happy. Every star, leaf, blade of grass, and mountaintop is rooting for you to do more of what you love to do. It's the only way the earth will work. But the more everyone does what they love, all the work and services in the world will get better. Things are going to run more efficiently and effectively. Everybody's going to be happier. This is how big a deal I think this is. It sounds like a lot can happen from just doing what you love, but that's the gig. This is really what it's all about. It's hard to live your life purpose if you're doing things that you don't enjoy. So approach this whole process, this exploration of your genius, with a sense of responsibility and even obligation to yourself and all of your current and future customers. And with a belief that you are incredibly supported, and trust that doing more of what you love is the best way to serve you, your business, and your clients, right? And I'll just say a quick word, I pretty much covered that. The whole thing about market research and seeing what other people are doing, that's fine, but we do this step first, right? There's a better way. There's a simpler way. So next, I want to tell you guys another story, very different story. So if you know this picture, it's actually from a blog on the Blogess that she did several years ago. And this was like my aha moment around marketing. So the title of the blog, and I actually think in the slides, when Nathan puts them up, the pic has a link to it. But so the title of the blog is something like, and that's why you should learn to pick your battles. Heads up, there's some swear words in it, just so you know. But it is the funniest thing, I think, that exists on the internet. It is the funniest thing I've ever read. I love it so much. And so I read the story many years ago when she first put it up. And I love the Blogess. I think she's so funny. And so I read this blog post and I just laughed. It delighted me to death. And then I kept revisiting it, because that's what you do when you love things. And she posted a follow-up post to this one, where another one of her readers had read this hysterical blog post about big metal chickens and bath towels. And I won't spoil it for you because I'll let you go read it. But this other reader ran an embroidery company and sent her these really kind of hysterical towels that were embroidered with funny stuff from the post, and then put a little tag on the towels with a sweet little note, just a funny, sweet note that referenced the blog post. And again, I won't ruin it for you because it's really cute. But here's the point. I'm reading this follow-up post, right, where the Blogess is like, oh my God, I got these rockin' bath towels and this is amazing and so funny. And I'm looking at these towels that were so cute and funny and beautiful and well done, and this sweet little note that was so clever and so smart. And this huge ball of envy welled up inside me. Because here I am in my business, right? This is in the early days. I'm struggling. I think I made the wrong decision. I should have gone back to law school because nothing sucks like this. I still am convinced I'm doing everything wrong. I still don't think I'm headed down the right path. I'm still convinced there's a secret I don't know. And I'm growing, but I'm just not having the success that I want to have, and I'm miserable, right? And I'm reading this post, and it's so clear that this woman who ran this embroidery company was delighted with her job. delighted. Like she just loved it. She's in this place of such abundance and play and fun and joy that she reads this hysterical blog post and just decides to send the bloggess a gift. And I'm in that moment of like where I'm feeling the contrast, right, between what she has in her business and what I'm experiencing in mine. And right underneath, the bloggess is referencing that cute little tag that was so clever. And the bloggess says, "That's marketing." And I was like, what? That's marketing? That's not marketing. There was no secret solution there. There was no big there was no super strategy there. She was just having fun. She was just having fun and sending a gift in like joy and abundance. Oh, oh, I see what she did there. Oh, that's marketing. Interesting. Okay, so that was like my big clue in that marketing doesn't really have anything to do with some secret strategy or some right way of doing things. It has to do with just being in your joy. It is so much that simple. I mean, it just really is. And I'm going to give you another example. So this is a shot of James Corden, and he does the carpool karaoke, which if you haven't seen, please go visit. Again, I think I've got a YouTube link on that picture on this slide. But yeah, please go check it out because they're hysterical. And the one with Adele is just gorgeous. And that's what this is a shot from. The one he did with her was just too funny. And there's this part where I took this screenshot is he's just singing with her. She's one of the first people to ever do carpool karaoke. And if you don't know what it is, he's a talk show host, right? And he just gets in the car with people, famous people, singers and stuff, and he plays their music on the radio and they sing, right? That's all it is. And he just drives them around like the back streets of wherever they happen to be, and they film it, and they get these like little 10-minute, 15-minute clips put together. He usually spends a couple hours with every artist. And it's so funny to me because in this one, he was singing with Adele. It was pretty early on in the beginning. He'd just done a few. And they just started saying, James can sing. Like, dude's got a voice. And they start singing the song together, and he harmonizes with Adele. Like, he's just showing up and having fun. And you can see her face. She like looks at the camera. Oh my God, that was awesome. That was so pretty. And he just is beaming. He is great. I mean, he looks like a 5-year-old here, right? He's so happy and having so much fun. Now, here's the thing. When he started doing these, nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to come along. Nobody wanted to do the carpool karaoke. It was weird, it was strange, nobody got it. He finally got, I think Mariah Carey was the first. It gave it a little bit of legitimacy. And then he started doing a few more. Then, I don't know how many in, he does one with Lionel Richie. They get on, they get in the car, start singing Lionel Richie songs and chatting about whatever. The next day, Lionel Richie's greatest hits goes #1 in the UK. Well, that changed the way the entertainment industry looked at carpool karaoke. And now it's this coveted thing. Everybody wants to do it. All the big names have. It's such a big deal. He did it with Michelle Obama at one point. It's amazing. Anyway, my point of all this is, this did not happen in a marketing meeting, right? Nobody came along and said, hey, you know what would be a great idea, a great marketing business strategy would be to you get in a car with a bunch of these. That's not where this came from. He is clearly doing this. And if you watch even a few minutes of one of them, you will see he loves doing this. This is just his joy and his play. And it's hugely successful. They couldn't have predicted and planned this. This was just him pursuing what was fun for him. And so the point is that genius comes from play, right? This is what births our genius and great marketing strategy. And like I was saying, brilliant marketing copy and great marketing decisions. And usually the best ideas sound crazy to other people because they don't go along with like the masses, right? But you can't get in touch with those parts of yourself if you're trying to do what someone else told you to do. If you're not really in touch with what you do, that's great. So, okay. All right. Hopefully I have hammered that home. Okay. So, where's my next slide? Differentiate yourself, right? So this is the key. We're going to set ourselves apart. We're going to establish our value. We're going to prove that what we deliver, our people can't get anywhere else. And we're going to begin to discover and articulate what our gifts are. Marketing is all about language, right? So the whole piece, I want you to know and be really clear about what your genius is, but I also want you to have the language to clearly describe it. That's like the key of marketing, those two pieces. So I just want to talk a little bit more about gifts. So these are the things that you do easily and with delight. They're also the things you're very good at, right? You're good at the things that are easy for you. These are your gifts. And the specific combination of your gifts adds up to be the core of what you do. It's the natural, it's the most natural thing in the world for you. I don't want to focus on your job description here. This is not about what you think you should do or even how you currently define your job. These things come so easily and naturally to you that it's a part of what you do all the time. You've probably unknowingly built your whole business around it. And the parts of your business that aren't flowing well probably don't have enough of these things in them. This is your special combination of awesomeness. You do it well, you pretty much do it all the time, and you naturally bring it to every client interaction. And it even shows up in conversations with friends, family, random people you meet in line at the grocery store. Now, this doesn't mean you haven't had to work for it, or that it didn't take discipline to master, or even that you've been good at it your entire life. It just means that right now in this moment, this combination of greatness, skill, and brilliance adds up to your personal brand of awesome. Now, this is what I always get when I go into this gig. But I don't have those. I can't. I'm not enough. I don't serve. It's not possible. I can't build a business just on what's fun. I can't just do what's easy. Blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, here we go. So keep in mind that we often dismiss our gifts because they come to us so easily. So don't overlook something because it seems too simple or obvious. A lot of people tell me when I go into this, they're like, yeah, I enjoy that and I do it pretty well. But like, don't a lot of people? Like everybody I know, like everyone can like listen well or organize their thoughts or motivate people or work in a team or work alone or sketch drawing or whatever. No, right? They can't. Just because it came easily to you doesn't mean that it comes easily to everyone. I know people who love to be in a crowd and people who can be alone in a room for days at a time. I know people who are wonderful listeners, storytellers, and communicators, but rarely is someone all three. I know people who love to cook and people who love to clean, but rarely both, right? I am one of the weirdos that loves to clean. I love to clean. I hate cooking. I don't understand it. You're just going to get hungry again. But cleaning, man, I could clean the house like all day. I love it. I love it. So some people are completely at home speaking to a group of 500. Some people can write 5,000 words a day, whatever, right? But everybody there's certain things that they can do. And it's so funny to me because those are rarely the things that we build our business around. But we're all different. And the things that come to us the most easily are the easiest to discount because we feel like everyone can do them. But by looking at the things that come naturally to you, you'll get closer to figuring out where your genius lies. This is what your gifts are all about. And most marketing plans don't work because they've got you looking at external circumstances before the internal ones. So you can't attract your right people unless you acknowledge your true self. So this is all about witnessing your gifts and the essentialness of what you contribute to the world, right? And affirming what you are committed to. This is an important part of creating your brand and marketing strategy. You know, so I have this whole get clear process, right? Where all these pieces fit together in your business. And this whole piece, your differentiation strategy is the what part, right? It's the thing that you do that's awesome and amazing. And the thing is when we get really, really clear on it, it links to your right people, right? It fits like a puzzle piece with what your right people need and want, right? Like, can you imagine building a business that's really, really founded on that? Like what you're really great at and awesome at is exactly what your right people need. A business founded on that is sustainable, easy. You can keep doing it. You can do it well. You don't have to take huge breaks. You're not exhausted at the end of the day. Or if you are, it's a pleasant exhaustion, right? That quote about like falling into bed, you know, completely exhausted and spent from having spent your day loving completely. Like that's the feeling you get from running that business. And the other thing that it's linked to is your why. And that's what I'm talking about with the affirm what you're committed to, because once you know what you're great at, then you can begin to think about the change that you want to create in the world and what is really motivating you. Like, what's your why, your deepest sense of core values? And that leads you into how do you want to set up your whole business, right? And that's beyond the scope of what we're going to do today, but I just wanted to give you like a little insight into how all these things work. It's not like your differentiation strategy exists in isolation from your right people and like your purpose on the planet. It's like these things all work together. So this is an important piece. All right, so let's move on to step one. This is step one to discovering your gifts, your genius, talents, all the good stuff, right? This is a list of questions that if we were doing a day-long workshop, I would give you guys time to answer this, and then we would spend time going over what the answers mean and honing them and finding the language and all that stuff. But I am going to give you guys homework. I'm going to challenge you guys to do this on your own. So what I would do, the way I recommend tackling this is like fixing yourself a cup of tea, whatever, sitting down, give yourself some time, like at least 45 minutes. Don't try and do this in 10 minutes. And sit down and really like journal and brainstorm these answers. These are some of the most powerful and effective answers that I've seen to get people through this process. And the whole goal, right? Like, you know, what do you love? What's fun and easy? What would you happily give away for free? Like, one of the things I always say, whatever you would happily give away for free is probably something you should be charging for in some way or another, right? And again, this seems like it's touchy-feely, but this is the core of what's practical. This works. If you build your business around the stuff you don't love to do or the stuff you just kind of love, then you are setting yourself up for exhaustion and overwhelm. So I just want to take a quick survey. Just raise your hand. No one can see you. How many of you are tired? I'm going to assume every hand is going up or nearly. How many of you wish you made more money, right? I'm assuming most or all of the hands are going up. Money's great. We love money. How many of you are scared to make more money because you don't want to get more tired, right? A lot of us, if you've built any part of your business on something that you don't really love to do, getting more of it is often just the thought of getting more of it is exhausting and overwhelming and can drain you. So like those areas, that's such a good key to find the areas of your business that aren't really serving you and aren't really contributing to your growth. And so yeah, just don't dismiss your gifts because they're easy, and don't waste your time building your business on stuff that like doesn't really super serve you. And of course, like we all have our beliefs, right? You know, how many of you don't believe you can build a business just doing what you love, or that you can't do the fun stuff, you can't enjoy yourself? Like no one wants the stuff that you're really good at. Like one of the big pieces of lack I see all the time is I can show up and do the fun stuff, but nobody wants to buy that. Yes, they do. Just yes, they do. I promise. The universe is not set up to give you gifts and strengths and joys and then tell you, good luck, do this in your free time, spend the bulk of your life doing stuff you can't stand. That's just not how the universe works. It just is not set up that way. So I challenge that. And then this is the other piece to it. This is like kind of one of the core pieces to this whole part of the work. Creativity flourishes when we have a sense of safety and self-acceptance. Part of diffusing those objections of nobody gets to do the fun stuff, I can't just do the easy stuff, all that stuff. Part of diffusing that is making sure that you have a sense of safety and security underneath you. And that's just something you need to provide yourself. And I don't even care how you do it. You know, if you need to get a part-time job, or if you need to get a contract job, or if you need to just take some time, whatever it is, right? You need to make sure that you have a sense of safety and self-acceptance and security and steadiness. Because if you don't have that, I guarantee you it's next to impossible to access what I'm talking about. If every single thought you have is followed up with, but I need money to make money for next month's rent or next month's whatever, or I need to pay my employees or whatever, and you're constantly stressed about it, it's going to be really, really hard for you to access your joy and your sense of play and your sense of creativity. So one of the people, Brene Brown, talks about play a lot, and I love her definition of it, so I'm going to give you that. The first condition to make something play, to define something as play, is that it doesn't have a purpose, right? There's no purpose to it. We're just doing it. And this is like where it falls down in business, right? Because in business, we like to think that every single thing, particularly if we need money or we want more money, everything we do, we want to be towards getting money. But as soon as we do that, we contort it in ways we can't even see, right? The self-compromise is so inherent in us. As soon as you assign a purpose to something that you're doing, you can distort it and tweak it in some way that can be completely invisible to you. So that's why I say you need this container of safety and security to make sure that you have some time in your life that is really devoted to play and enjoyment and discovery and creativity, because that's going to be the source of so much of your genius in your business. So the second two qualifications are that you want to do it and that you lose track of time when you're doing it, right? So that's what we're talking about. It's no purpose. It doesn't have a purpose. You've got to want to do it, and you lose track of time when you're doing it. So my goal as a business coach is to tell every single client of mine, and I'm really ruthless about this, you need to build time in every single day for you to do this. Every day. And I usually get a lot of blowback, but I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's why you don't have time. That story, that habit, that practice is exactly why you don't have time to do this. Cultivate time to do this, and you will rediscover your love for your work, your love for your clients, your genius at it. You will come up with brilliant ideas, I guarantee it, every time. So cultivate time for play. You know, my assessment is as soon as you start doing something to get something, you get dumber. I mean, because you do, right? We do. As soon as we're like, oh, I'm going to do this to get that thing, to get approval or money or whatever it is, you know, you start to bear down and you get defensive and you just close off and you don't have the flow and you're not in the play and the goodness. So don't make yourself dumber. You know, make your life easier and more fun. You know, I see this on reality TV all the time. I'm a big reality TV junkie. I love it. Particularly any show that is about people showing up and shining. Big surprise, right? Gee, I wonder what kind of TV I watch. Like I love the Gordon Ramsay shows, and I love America's Got Talent. But it's so funny because like you'll see like singers come up on stage on America's Got Talent, and they'll be like playing, and you can see that they're locked down. Right? They're locked down. And the judges will say, like, lighten up, have some fun. It's fun. You're up on stage. But I'm like, they can't lighten up. The reason they're in that state is because they're trying to get something done. They're trying to win. And they've attached their self-worth to the result instead of actually sitting there and enjoying the process. So that's the point. Like, that's the process that we want to get into. Enjoy, play, stomp around in the waves, you know? Yeah, as soon as we get scared, we stop focusing on fun, enjoyment, play. We focus on strategy, comparison, perfection, all that stuff that screws us up. So the point is that marketing is not about doing things the right way or following the rules or following someone else's strategy. It's about knowing who you are, what you're good at, and who needs it, and just talking about it in a way that sets you apart. And so let's go into the language a little bit. So step 2, begin to assign language to your gifts. So assuming that you've done the previous exercise, I want you to look at your answers and identify the common themes, phrases, words, etc. I want you to look at testimonials. Ask people if you don't have testimony. You know, that's a funny thing too, right? A lot of people who don't charge enough or who just aren't really anchored in this place of like, oh my God, what I do is amazing. They don't have a lot of testimonials. It's always a red flag for me. Reach out to people and get feedback, you know, get feedback on what you do. Get their language, their words, their phrases. And the reason that's so important, I mean, obviously your inner knowing is the thing we're trying to expand here. But a lot of times, this is the piece, right? We don't know what we're great at and what we're amazing at. And so a lot of times you need other people's feedback to be like, oh, I didn't even know I did that. Oh my God, I didn't even know I was amazing at that. And here's the kicker. the stuff that you're great at, when you're really in your gifts and your genius, you're seen. People see you when you're showing up in your genius. People don't see you when you're showing up in the shoulds and the right way and the self-compromise. I have a lot of clients, they'll come in and they're doing the hustle, right? That's what I call it. They're hustling, that like hustle for worthiness, for clients, for money, for enoughness, for whatever. And they're in that place of like, I just got to do more. I just got to do more. I just got to do all these things. And I guarantee you, when you feel like that, you're not in your genius and you're not being seen. That's why you're in lack. That's why you feel like people can't see you. You're not really showing up. You are invisible when you are trying to be or do someone else's thing, some other thing, something that isn't really at the heart and soul of who you are. So look to testimonials to see what you're getting recognized for. Ask your favorite clients and friends what they love about you and your work, your products, whatever. You know, what are they really getting out of it? What do they enjoy? And begin to put together the descriptions of what you do. Just begin to look for those common themes and the phrases and stuff, and start to find things that you would put in your elevator pitch or your copy or the homepage on your website. And then step 3, final step, clearly articulate these things so that your right people will recognize them. So now that we know what you do, right, we're going to spend a little bit of time. Again, this is that who part of my process. Like, how is that valuable to your right people, right? Again, don't contort yourself. Don't say people aren't looking for this. No. Use your little list of geniuses and your list of awesomeness as this is the core. There is a group of people. I'm just going to assume, even if I've never met a single person who's looking for this exact thing, I'm going to assume they exist. So list out their qualities, list out their pain, list out the problem that your list of geniuses solves. And then define for yourself, how do their lives change after working with you? What specific pain or problem does your special blend of talents solve? This is what sets you apart from your competition. And this should give you the verbiage and language that you need to attract the people who will see and appreciate you, who need exactly what it is that you most want to deliver. All right. And so to kind of wrap up, if you wanted something a little more concrete to kind of sink your teeth into, I gave you a positioning statement. So positioning is very similar. It's the same thing as differentiation, right? It's the thing that, where are you positioned in the marketplace? What are you here to do? What exactly are you here to solve? And this is like the little, formula thing here, right? Like a pitch, right? Like a standard elevator pitch. And then to give you an example like of my stuff, I listed out, I did this in my last talk too. This is just a list of my brand drivers, my gifts, the stuff that I love doing, which I don't think we need to spend time on. You can certainly go back and read it. And then my positioning statement. So you can kind of see how I used the language from my answers and what I've discovered to drill into what my right people need and what really sets me apart. And, I'll go back, like, this is the thing, like this feel good, like this is the big thing. I don't know many other people who talk about how does your marketing strategy feel to you, but that's really the core of what I do. I want you developing a business and business growth strategies that feel good. I mean, geez Louise, I don't know why we're not all talking about that. Anyway, and this is just a quick outline of my entire process, and like this top section here, the what do you love about what you do, that's what this webinar was really about. But when you look at this little chart, I mean, you can kind of see how these things interact, right? Like your what is connected to your who, who most needs this thing, who most needs this blend. And the same thing with your why, why do you love doing this? It's, this is your what you love about what you do. But your why is where you get into the core of it, the motivating factor, what you're taking a stand for in the world. And that leads you into how do you want your life and work to be? I mean, that's the core business strategy is in that lower right-hand corner. This is where we build your services strategy, your product strategy, funnels, all that stuff. But it starts with what do you love about what you do? And you can see, like, I usually have a ton of info on here, but the point that I really wanted to drive home is that you always start with what you love and why, and you use those this left side, right? You always move from left to right, and you discover who needs your work and how you want to deliver it. Don't ever start with what you think people want, because gosh, just a recipe for disaster. And then the next thing is my goodie that I'm offering. So that's it.
Excellent. So lots of great information today, Diane. Want to give everybody a chance to, first of all, download the slides. Let me drop that link in the chat room. One moment. So here are the slides from today if you'd like to download those. And want to also just invite everybody, if you have questions that you haven't asked, drop those in the chat room at ithemes.com/chat, and we'll get those over to Diane in just a minute. But before we move over to Q&A, let's talk just a little bit about what's on the screen now. Diane, you've developed a course that basically takes what we've talked about today to the next level. So tell us just a little bit about this course and what's involved in it.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah. So this basically takes, exactly like what you said. It takes what we did today, like that beginning piece, and it really develops your entire brand. So we talk about, it's a 6-module course. So you've got 6 lessons that are about 45 minutes from me, video, audio, and slides. And I've got 3 guest speakers that I handpicked to specifically support the lessons that we're learning, the lessons and stuff on how to create your brand. They're awesome. There's like stuff about how to break through money blocks, and like there's some basic SEO stuff so you understand like how you show up online, and it's really cool. But what we spend time on is what it covers here. So we start with the differentiation strategy. We talk about how that shows up in design. We talk about where you might be blocked, where you might be sabotaging yourself. We talk about money. There's a whole module just on money and pricing and resentment pricing, congruent pricing, the whole piece. Website content, which is so important, like how is all that showing up? We go over copywriting and stuff like that. And then we finish with a brand style guide tutorial, like really how to develop your own brand style guide so that all that stuff is outlined in a source that you can reference. So every time you want to launch a new thing or do something, you can go to that style guide for the foundation of your business.
Fantastic. And so this is normally a $774 course, and it's a pre-order for $97 through the 1st of November. So is that when the course is launching, November 1?
Yep. So it's actually based on an online group coaching course that I did last year, and it was a 6-month course. So it's like really the 45-minute lessons are really dense, and we gave people a lot of time to go through them and like do a lot of homework. There's homework assignments in each lesson to really ground what you're doing. So it was this long 6-month course that I condensed down into this program, and I sold the course for $774. But as a whole thing, just for the pre-order, it's $97. And so we're still editing it and tweaking it up, but it's going to go live on the 1st. So I encourage people to get it now and get the savings.
Definitely. There's a question in the chat about in this course, is there any individual help included? How does that part work?
The black and white answer is no. But one of the things that I encourage you, and it's on the sales page, if you go to that link, you'll see, I encourage people to go into the Entrepreneur Place, which is my Facebook group, and post your answers there. It's a really great Facebook group. A lot of people post things that they're working on to get feedback on copy or sales pages or product ideas or book titles or whatever. And so I encourage people to take the course materials, do the homework, and then post the homework to the group. And almost always I weigh in. Sometimes it takes me a week to get comments back to you, but you'll get comments from other people and probably me as well.
Absolutely. And so the link to that Facebook group is in the chat room now, the Entrepreneur Place. If you've not joined that group, just click that link and you can join up. There's usually a lot of good conversation happening over there. So this is a great deal. If you guys are looking to clarify your brand and take it to the next level, this is a good deal for $97. Get a lot of great information from Diane and her tools, and that should move you far along in that process. Are there any other questions that need to be asked about what we talked about today and getting a handle on your personal brand and what makes you different than everybody else? If so, just drop those there in the chat and we'll get those over to Diane. Again, the slide link is there in the chat room. And I think we've got all the links there for you. The link to the Facebook group is about, Barbara is asking that. It's about 4 lines above your question, Barbara, in the chat. The Entrepreneur Place is right there in the chat. Another question about the course, Diane. Is it the same as what was given today, but a bit more robust, or what's the difference?
Oh, what we gave today is what I did today is a simpler version of the module 1. So module 1 goes quite a bit deeper, and then the rest of them are it's all new. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all new content.
Fantastic. All right. Well, there's no questions that are popping up here in the chat. So I think what you've done is you've given people a lot of good things to think about here. And folks, I would encourage you to, whether you do the course or not, to dive into what Diane has given you and just spend some time thinking through what it is about you that sets you apart from the rest of the world. What is your genius? And start thinking through some of these positioning statements. And that can really start to help move you along to differentiating yourself from the competition. Diane, thanks for a great presentation again today. Any last words as we're getting ready to wrap up?
No, just thanks so much for having me again. I love it. Obviously, I love what I do, and this was so much fun. Thanks for the chance to be a part of iThemes again. I loved it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Diane, and thank all of you for being with us as well for the last hour or so. Hopefully you picked up some good tidbits along the way, and you can start thinking through some of these branding issues for yourself. Again, my name is Nathan Ingram, and thanks for hanging out with us here on iThemes Training, where we go further together.